Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Open Day Streamed at Macquarie University for 2020. My name is Gareth, and you're on the Medicine and Health Studio here at Open Day Streamed. I'm a second-year medical student here at the university, and I'm joined by Dr. Cara Hildreth, a senior lecturer in the Department of Biological Sciences in the Faculty of Medicine, Health and Human Sciences. Dr. Cara Hildreth is here to answer all your questions about the Bachelor of Clinical Science and give a live presentation. She's also an active medical researcher in the faculty. Welcome, Dr. Hildreth.
Thank you.
We'll now move to the live presentation section of this segment. Take it away.
Thanks. Thank you, Gareth, for the introduction. So the Bachelor of Clinical Science is an innovative, fast-tracked... The Bachelor of Clinical Science is an innovative, fast-tracked, two-year degree that focuses on human clinical sciences, combining the study of body systems with chemistry and biology, and builds the foundational professional skills that you will need for a career in medical, allied health, or medical research professions. There are several key features of this course. Firstly, students that undertake the Bachelor of Clinical Science learn in state-of-the-art facilities. Our educational facilities are located within the Macquarie University Hospital precinct, providing an interface between education and healthcare, and we now have an amazing custom-designed medical education facility that has been built adjacent to the hospital, fully embedding our students' learning within the hospital precinct. One of the elements that I am particularly passionate about is the fact that we are very student-centred. Our students are supported and taught by an incredible group of academic staff that are leaders in their field. We have an amazing student services team that go above and beyond to ensure that our students are supported in their transition to university. And we recognise our students for their achievements through a number of program-specific awards. Throughout the Bachelor of Clinical Science, our students develop into world-class graduates, which is enabled through the incorporation of work-integrated learning that allows our students to undertake placements within the workforce, currently within the Sydney metropolitan region, but hopefully again in the future, both nationally and internationally. And we strive to give our students as much choice as possible, with a third of the units that students study within the Bachelor of Clinical Science, elective units, which includes the option to undertake units that prepare our students for the future, both in terms of supporting progression through to the Macquarie MD and developing professional skills that are essential for future employability. A key feature of the Bachelor of Clinical Science is that it is a two-year accelerated degree. It's important to note that we are a three-year equivalent degree, so the volume of learning that is undertaken is not different to other courses. But whereas those courses would use 6 teaching sessions spread out over 3 years, we use 5 teaching sessions spread out over 2 years. To achieve this, we utilise all teaching sessions available to us, which are your traditional session, or you might know these as semesters 1 and 2, as well as the teaching session that is available over the summer period, which is known as session 3. Because we are only using 5 teaching sessions as opposed to the traditional 6, our students study 1 extra unit in each session 1 and 2 period, i.e. they do 5 units in session 1 and 2 and 4 units in session 3. The Bachelor of Clinical Science is structured so that students start by learning fundamental units, for example introductory anatomy, physics, statistics and biomolecules, before progressing to learn more integrated systems units that are complemented by pharmacology, biochemistry and genetics. Alongside these are units that develop professional skills as well as units that allow students choice. If we look at these units more closely, and in particular at what scientific knowledge you will gain, our systems units cover the nervous, cardiovascular, digestive, musculoskeletal, urogenital and endocrine systems. A key feature of these units that really differentiates the Bachelor of Clinical Science from other courses is that we teach in a very integrated manner. We do not separate anatomy teaching from physiology teaching, which is commonly seen within other courses and at other institutions, and all the units that we teach are interrelated, And so we build upon the knowledge that are taught in each of these units and complement these through a series of core units that teach biochemistry, genetics, pharmacology, and pathology. Another unique element of the Bachelor of Clinical Science is a stream of units that we term the professional practice stream. These units are aimed at embedding core skills in our students that will set them up as lifelong learners and ensure that they are really world-ready graduates through a focus on critical thinking and reflection, evidence-based practice, communication, teamwork, and professional ethics. Finally, we have a series of units to prepare students for the future, be this for future study through our selective units that introduce students to allied health, public health and research, or help students prepare for medical school admissions, or through work integrated and research units that prepare students for future employment. As I mentioned, through the Bachelor of Clinical Science, we help students prepare for medical school admissions. There are also some advantages for the Bachelor of Clinical Science graduates for the Macquarie MD. These include a 3% bonus weighting to the GPA, up to 20 reserved interview places, and up to 5 scholarships worth $30,000 per year to offset the cost of studying the Macquarie MD. In the last part of my talk, we will discuss the key pieces of information you need to know regarding admissions. For the Bachelor of Clinical Science, we have a selection rank of 90. This is made up of your ATAR and any adjustment factors you may be eligible for. We have a number of HSC subjects that we strongly recommend you take. These are Advanced Level English, Maths, Chemistry, Biology, and Physics. We particularly encourage you to have a strong background in Maths and Chemistry. However, if you don't, we can support you through a bridging course. For those students that may be undertaking an international baccalaureate, we make offers based on predicted IB scores. There are a number of different entry pathways into the Bachelor of Clinical Science. The first is the Academic Entry Program. Through this program, we will review your HSC results in English, Maths, and either Biology, Chemistry, or Physics, and we may make you an offer based on your performance in these subject areas. We work closely with Macquarie to support Indigenous students who also wish to study the Bachelor of Clinical Science. For the first time this year, the Bachelor of Clinical Science will also be available through the Macquarie Leaders and Achievers and School Recommendation Scheme, and are both early entry schemes that look at extracurricular activities and or your Year 11 performance. The Gifted and Talented Entry Program allows a select group of high-achieving students the opportunity to enrol at Macquarie while still at high school, and based on your performance, this can result in an early offer. For the Bachelor of Clinical Science, we specifically require students entering through this program to have completed HSC Maths and Chemistry. And finally, we have the ATAR and Adjustment Factor Pathway. The ATAR plus Adjustment Factor Pathway is the most common pathway into the Bachelor of Clinical Science. It's important to note that this is not a requirement for you to have adjustment factor points in order to receive an offer for the Bachelor of Clinical Science. If you have an ATAR of 90 or above that meets the selection rank cutoff, then you will receive an offer. What adjustment factors represent are bonus points that you can add onto your ATAR that may help you meet our selection rank cutoff of 90, and will be automatically applied to your ATAR following URAC application. The most common form of adjustment factor points that students who enter the Bachelor of Clinical Science receive are academic advantage points. These are points that we will add to your ATAR based on your performance in Maths, Biology, Chemistry, and Physics. In addition, we will provide adjustment points on the basis of regional entry, Duke of Edinburgh, Queen's Scout and Queen's Guide awards, the Educational Access Scheme, if you're an elite athlete or artistic performer, or if you've completed Big History through Coursera. Regardless of the adjustment factor schemes that you're eligible to apply for, we will allow a maximum of 6 adjustment factor points in total for students applying for the Bachelor of Clinical Science. This concludes my talk today. If you want more information, you can look at the URAC guide Our course code is 300676. Browse the Macquarie course guide, speak with our student services team, and myself and our academic staff will be also available throughout the course of today through the live chat function. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hildreth, for that presentation, and thank you for shedding some light on the Bachelor of Clinical Science. What we'll do now is move to the live Q&A session, live Q&A part of this session. So I'll encourage you to please pop in your questions, if you do have any, on the right-hand side of the screen in the Q&A box. And I can see some students have already been doing that. So please pop the questions in the slide, and Dr. Hildreth and I will answer them live on the stream. Otherwise, we'll get some of our academics to help answer them as well. So the first question that we've had come in is, what is the main difference between the Bachelor of Clinical Science and the other degree that we offer at Macquarie, which is the Bachelor of Medical Science?
That's a very good question, and a very popular question in fact. So there are a couple of main differences between the two courses that we offer here. So the most obvious difference is the structure. So the Bachelor of Clinical Science is a 2-year course, whereas the Bachelor of Medical Science is a 3-year course. And then the other difference is in the focus of the two courses. So the Bachelor of Clinical Science is really focused on human clinical science and that more clinical orientation and focus, and then future career progression. Whereas the Bachelor of Medical Science is more focused at medical sciences in a research and industry capacity.
Okay.
And so very science-focused units, and also sort of the general structure between the two degrees. So the Bachelor of Medical Science allows you to do what we call majors, which allow you a focused area of study, whereas the Bachelor of Clinical Science is more structured, and so we ensure you have a more broader foundational level of knowledge to move on with.
Okay, fantastic. Thanks for that answer. And like I said before, please make sure you pop in any questions that you have on the side so we can get to answering them. The next question that we've had come through is, how many people undertake the Bachelor of Clinical Science, and what's the average size of a cohort?
Okay, so the Bachelor of Clinical Science has grown in its cohort size over the past few years. This year we took in about 175 students upon entry, and so that's probably where we would see we go in the future.
Fantastic. Now the next question we've had come in is, what are the benefits of doing a generalised clinical degree as opposed to going straight into undergraduate medicine?
Well, Gareth, I actually think you're more able to answer that question than me, being a past Bachelor of Clinical Science student and someone who's now studying medicine.
Yes.
So would you like to do that?
That's correct. So I actually also went through the Bachelor of Clinical Science. I started in 2017 as the second cohort to go through the degree. And when I was choosing my uni course, I kind of thought about all the different options that were available for me. And clinical science really stood out because of how broad it was and how amazing, how many opportunities there were that were available. So I wasn't just studying medicine, I was able to do a lot of anatomy, I was able to branch out into things like public health, which I'd previously never really had an opportunity to look at. We also got to do a bit of biomechanics, so things that are more related to physiotherapy, which was really cool. So I think what the Bachelor of Clinical Science did for me was really give me exposure to a lot of different health areas and kind of give me a taste of everything, so I knew that's what I wanted to study. Another thing that I really enjoyed doing was professional practice, which you mentioned in your presentation, and looking at things like ethics, communication and teamwork was something that was really special in this degree, and it's actually one of the reasons I chose it. So I feel it gave me a really good broad exposure to the field.
Great.
Fantastic. Now we've got a few more questions that are coming through. So the next one that we've had come through is, if you complete the Bachelor of Clinical Science, are you eligible for entry into the Doctor of Physiotherapy at Macquarie?
Yes, and in fact we have had some students that have completed the Bachelor of Clinical Science that have gone on to continue their studies here at Macquarie through the Doctor of Physiotherapy program.
Yes. So if you didn't know, we do offer a Doctor of Physiotherapy program at Macquarie, and this is one of the pathways that you can take into that degree. Another question that we've had come in is, how competitive is the degree? Are there any interviews or requirements to enter the degree?
So the long and the short of it is no, there's no interview requirements to get into the Bachelor of Clinical Science. As I mentioned in my presentation, it's based on your selection rank and meeting that selection rank requirement of 90. Okay. And as also mentioned in my presentation, there are a number of pathways that you can use to get to that selection rank cutoff, be that your ATAR or then the adjustment factor schemes that we offer here.
Great. Another really common question that we get is, do I have to sit the UCAT to go into clinical science?
No.
Okay.
So we have no tests per se that we require you to complete prior to entry.
Okay, thank you. Next question that we've had come in is, how does the Bachelor of Clinical Science prepare you for postgraduate medicine?
Okay, that's also a very good question. So as I mentioned in my talk, we've got an elective unit that we offer that's specifically designed at preparing students for the admissions process. So designed at preparing you for the test and providing interview preparation as well. We have also the pathway through to the Macquarie MD, so the bonus points that are provided there. And then also through the nature of the course, we meet any prerequisite requirements that other universities may have, be that for anatomy and physiology or molecular biology background.
Yeah, great. And as you mentioned in your presentation, the way that the course is taught is very clinically focused, and we integrate anatomy and physiology. And I definitely felt going into the Macquarie MD from clinical science, that was a really big advantage. I was really prepared for all of the courses that we'd study. So it wasn't a big shift from undergraduate to postgrad, so that was really good.
That's great to hear.
Fantastic. Now, we've had another question come in. How many people on average go through from clinical science to the Doctor of Medicine here at Macquarie?
So at Macquarie, I believe there are up to 20 reserved interview slots for students from the Bachelor of Clinical Science. Obviously, that doesn't guarantee you a spot because it is then based on your performance within that interview package, then with your GPA and your GAMSAT. Okay, but there is that's the number of reserved interview slots.
Okay, sure. Thank you. Another question that we've had is, what are the other opportunities for postgraduate study that a student could go on from the Bachelor of Clinical Science?
So there are actually a large range of postgraduate studies that students that have completed the Bachelor of Clinical Science have gone on to do. So we've had students go on to do the Master of Public Health, the Doctor of Physiotherapy, as we've mentioned, medicine.
Yes.
We've also had Master of Research, be that in still medical or cognitive sciences. We've had students even go on to do postgraduate law.
Oh, fantastic.
So it's not just medical or clinical related fields that they've gone on to do, but other things that have been opened up as a consequence.
Okay. So the takeaway is there's lots of different avenues to go into. And as a researcher yourself, could you shed a bit of light on what the process is like to become a researcher?
Oh, sure. So at Macquarie, the path that students take is from a bachelor's degree, they would go on to do a Master of Research. Okay. And in the Master of Research, you have a focused 1 year period that's research intensive. You join a research group. And from that pathway, you could graduate and then get into, I guess, like more entry-level positions, so be a research assistant within research group, or continue on to do a PhD.
Okay.
And then whether or not you go on to academia or industry is your choice.
But it can all start with the Bachelor of Clinical Science.
Definitely.
Thank you. So we've got some more questions that are coming in, and again, I encourage you, if you do have questions, feel free to pop them in there on the Q&A box on the right. The next question we've had come in are, what are some of the placement opportunities available in the Bachelor of Clinical Science?
Okay, so we have a work integrated unit that we offer as a capstone for the course that's in their final session of the course. And so students that have gone and done the placement unit, they've gone out to work for companies like Johnson & Johnson, Konica Minolta, they've gone to Macquarie University Hospital to do placements, they've gone to CSIRO, the Australian Hearing Hub, a wide range of health-focused
research areas and experiences.
Industries.
And is that something that all students will do in the Bachelor of Clinical Science?
Yes, so the work integrated unit is compulsory, so all students do it. But we have a very broad range of placements that students can do, and which vary from year to year, and students can, some of them are competitive that students can choose to do, and some of them are not. Okay,
just to let the students know, I'll share my own experience with that workplace experience. So I was lucky enough to go to Konica Minolta as part of my placement, and I worked together with some other students on a mental health and well-being course and redesigning the workplace at Konica Minolta to try and make it a bit more friendly for the staff and try and boost productivity and positivity in the workplace. And that was something that I'd never really thought about before, combining business and medicine and mental health, and I thought it was a really special opportunity.
It sounds really good.
Like you've said, there's been other students. I know Jordan, one of my colleagues, she's gone to Johnson & Johnson to work a bit on surgical research. So there's a really broad range of opportunities available.
Industry. We also some partnerships with Northern Sydney Health District. So there's lots of opportunities in that unit.
And it's fantastic that it's built straight into the course. Now we've had a few more questions come in. So a top question right now is aiming to complete the Doctor of Medicine. Is it better to do clinical science or maybe do a more broad undergraduate degree?
That's a very good question. And I think probably depends on your own personal preference. However, we do think the Bachelor of Clinical Science does set you up very well to get into postgraduate medicine. As you have already mentioned, we teach you all the required things, and the transition between clinical science and the MD is not as maybe steep as you might otherwise experience. And so I think we have a very good foundational course for that pathway.
And another question that we generally get from students is, what are some of the different teaching methods that we use in the Bachelor of Clinical Science? Are there practicals? Are there lectures? What does a general day in the life of a student look like?
Very good question. So we use everything. So we have lectures, small group tutorials, seminars. We have a large practical component. So in the anatomy, dissection facilities, even in the science laboratories here at Macquarie, and obviously the placements that we do. We spoke about the work integrated learning unit, but we also have the research placement units where you go and embed it into a research group and are embedded in their day-to-day lives. So there's a there's a lot of diversity in how we teach. Okay,
great. And another question we've had come in is, are there any prerequisites for going into the Bachelor of Clinical Science? I think you might have touched on it in your talk, but could you just reiterate for everybody?
So what we strongly encourage students to have is a good background in maths, chemistry, physics and biology. Our two key ones are obviously maths and chemistry, and if you don't have those, as I mentioned in my talk, we have bridging courses available, and there are some units that will require you to have completed that bridging course before we can enroll you in those particular units. And in addition to that, obviously English, so we like advanced level English.
Thank you. For the students watching at home, if you'd like more information on our bridging courses, you can just search Bridging Courses Macquarie University in Google, and we'll have all the latest information available there. Now, in your talk, you mentioned a bit about electives in the Bachelor of Clinical Science. Could you give a little overview of some of the subjects a student could study?
So we have two types of electives, if you like. We have free electives and what we call selectives. And I'll talk about them separately. So free electives are basically, you can do anything you like that's offered at Macquarie as long as you meet what we call prerequisite requirements. And so students in their free elective space have typically done subjects like psychology, critical thinking. We have a new health behavioural unit that's offered within the faculty that students have been taking. It's basically free choice. Some students even do subjects like Italian.
That's so cool.
Wouldn't even think they relate to Bachelor of Clinical Science. It's free. It's what you would like to do. Our selective electives are where we select what you get to choose from. And so they're more focused. And so in that selective series of units, there are units that allow you to develop your knowledge of the nervous system more, for example. Next year we'll have a clinical anatomy and imaging unit that will be offered.
That sounds amazing.
In that space. We have units that build on your professional practice knowledge. So they're really units that allow you to get more focused on knowledge or enhance your learning in that space.
Great, thank you. Now, a question that's come in is it competitive to enter the Doctor of Medicine from the Bachelor of Clinical Science? In your experience, how's that gone for students?
Is it competitive? Getting into postgraduate medicine is competitive.
Of course, no matter where.
Doesn't matter, exactly. And we do have a good proportion of our students that do continue on, but I think there are students that have had to try again, and I think even at Macquarie here, we're now seeing students from the Bachelor of Clinical Science from the first and second offerings now get in. So yes, it is competitive, but I think if you've got your eyes set on it.
If you're working hard, you'll get there in the end.
Yes.
Fantastic. And now another question that's come in, is there early entry available for clinical science?
Yes. So for the first time, we are offering early entry into Bachelor of Clinical Science through the Macquarie Leaders and Achievers Scheme and the School Recommendation Scheme. Okay. You can find more information on the Macquarie website about those two schemes, and I believe that one of them closes at the end of August and the other one mid-September.
Yeah.
So there's still the ability to apply for next year through that scheme.
For those of you watching at home, to let you know that the Studio Central stage is actually running a quick session on the Macquarie Leaders and Achievers program. So like Dr. Hildreth said, if you're interested in that program and clinical science is a part of that, you can just head up to Studio Central after this presentation and you can find out a bit more about it there. Another question that's come in is, how does the program prepare you for GAMSAT and interviews going into medicine?
Yeah, so we have a focused unit within the elective space that students can take that's specifically designed to help you prepare both the GAMSAT and medical school interviews.
Sure.
So they prepare you for the test and also have mock mini interviews as part of that unit.
Fantastic. And if you haven't really heard about it before, the GAMSAT is a admissions test that students need to generally sit before they go on to postgraduate medicine. Now, you're also the course convener of the Bachelor of Clinical Science. What have you heard some of your students say during their studies here? What's some of the highlights that they've been able to share with you?
Oh, wow, that's a very good question. Lots of positive things. So I think you captured a lot of it in sort of your reflections of your time with us. That they like that it's innovative, they like the short, the fast track elements of it. They really appreciate the, the flexible elective and the selective zones. So going out and seeing things that they weren't quite sure that they were interested in. That eye-opening experience. A lot of our students do want to come into Bachelor of Clinical Science with the vision of getting into medicine, and a lot of them through the Bachelor of Clinical Science realises that there's
so many things out there.
Out there, and so that eye-opening experience of it. Probably some of the really nice things I like hearing when we
Fantastic. I really enjoyed the anatomy side of the course. Some of the facilities that we have at Macquarie are amazing, especially the anatomy dissection labs in the hospital. I still get to use those now, but in clinical science, I got to do that in my first year, and that was amazing to be able to do.
The facilities in that whole hospital precinct are just
amazing.
Yeah.
And we also had that new building that's started
the medical education facility. Yes, no, that's also very, very nice.
Yeah. If you ever get a chance to come in on campus, definitely check it out. It's very beautiful. A quick question that's come in again. Oh, we've already had that one about GAMSAT. So as Dr. Hildreth was saying, there is some preparation for that course. All right. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with students who are thinking about studying the Bachelor of Clinical Science? Is it for somebody who's interested in anything like clinical or allied health?
Yeah, I think so. I think it gives you a really nice breadth of study in there, and a lot of interesting things you do get to learn about. There's very few courses I feel like out there that give you the opportunities that we have in terms of what you get to learn and where you could go as a result of it.
Fantastic. Yeah, so I think the takeaway is there's so many opportunities here at Macquarie, and we absolutely love the student experience here in the Bachelor of Clinical Science.
That's good to hear.
Thank you so much for your time today, Dr. Hildreth, and thank you for answering our questions and giving that presentation. If you'd like any more if you have any more questions about the Bachelor of Clinical Science, we do have live chat running all day today on this page. So down here in the bottom left of the screen, there's a little live chat button. You can click on that and we'll have some academics and students answer all of your questions. There's also some downloadable course content at the bottom of the page. There is a clinical science brochure there that you can check out. We also have some frequently asked questions. So if you didn't have one that came up now, maybe check and see what other students are asking, just so that you can get across all the information. We also have a lot of fantastic competitions running today on our website to try and make Open Day Streamed as fun and engaging as possible. So check out the bottom of the screen for our competitions tab. There's the opportunity to win some great Macquarie University merch. There's a hoodie up for grabs and also some cash prizes. So check that out at the bottom of the screen. I'll also point you back up to Studio Central, which is the button here. And like I mentioned, they'll be running the Leaders and Achievers session very soon. There's also some other downloadable videos that you can check out at the top of the screen. And we've got a few about the Bachelor of Clinical Science and some of the Macquarie Health other degrees there. Our next presentation on this stage is coming up at 11 a.m. with the Bachelor of Speech and Hearing Sciences. And like I mentioned, stick around, check out the rest of the Open Day Streamed website, and we can't wait to see you there at 11. Thank you so much for tuning in.